Okay, good morning and welcome to Sukkah Daf Nun 56. This is the last Daf in Maseches Succah. In order to celebrate our victory, we had a victory, Shmuel. We have some Stella Artois beer, Belgian beer, only the best. This beer is the third oldest beer in the world. Did you know that? Do you know what year it was founded in? You're not going to believe this. 1366. That is almost how much? It's 650 years ago. 650 years ago. This beer, more than 650 years ago, this beer was formed. Third oldest beer in the world. I personally like it very much. I don't know if you do, Shmuel. Which is your beer of choice? Kazakhstan? The Japanese one? Alright, he likes the Japanese beers.
It's only 2,000 euros.
2000. I don't know. Wikipedia begs to differ. I don't know. They say that the oldest one was around in 1200. I think some German, the monasteries, they used to make beer. That's what they used to do. Yeah, beer was made in churches and monasteries. Yeah. In fact, they used to, instead of the ritual bath, you know, what is it? What is it when you go into the bath to become Christian? I don't know. You go into like a tub of water, something like that. I forgot the name of it. They used to actually go into beer.
Really?
They didn't go into beer. They went into water, I think. I don't know. Baptism. That's what it's called. Baptism. Baptize, not in beer. How was Shmuel? How did you enjoy Maseches Succah? You enjoyed it a lot? How did you feel my share enhanced your experience with Maseches Succah? It did, yeah? Do you look forward to Maseches Beitzah with me? Yeah? Alright, Shmuel. Here we go. This is the last daf. We're going to have a little party afterwards. So stay tuned for the whole shir and the party afterwards. We're going to party like it's 1999. Straight up here. And then that was the year before 2000. We thought the world was going to end the year 2000. All the computers were going to shut off. The lights were going to shut off. So you party before the end of the world, right? Okay, the bottom of Nun Hamud Beis, the Gemara says, "V'chiluk lachem apanim." And also, chiluk lachem apanim was something that they divided. The Mishmaros divided equally on the regalim, even though it wasn't something that was special to the regalim. So the Gemara says, the Gemara wants to know where that's from. How do you know all the Mishmaros, all 24 Mishmaros, get equal portions in the chiluk lachem apanim? Talmud Lomar, chela kachela kyochelu. It says chela kachela kyochelu in Dvarim. Chela avoda kachela kachila. Just like the chela avoda, so too the Kohanim, they get to do the avoda. So too they get also a portion of that chila. Now, what achila is referring to? My achila. If what achila is referring to, ilam karbonos. Ilam is the karbonos of the moed. Mahasam nafka lachon makrivos salos. Yeah, since the Kohanim, all the Kohanim are equal, they could all be makriv karbonos musafin for chol moed, right? So if the pasuk says if you're makriv the karban, you get either the hides if it's an ola, or you get part of the meat if it's a chatas. Ella or shlamim. Ella lechem upon it must be talking about chelik achila lechem upon him. Lechem upon him there was no hakrava, it was only achila. So therefore we know that it could be referring to a nedarim and a doa. Why is it referring to lechem upon him? So the Arshkol explains that it's referring to lechem upon him because that is something where the only thing significant is the achila. Because you do the achila, it's brought 7 days beforehand. You might think even Nadarim and Davos that only do with the regal, also they're equal. As it says in Karav, why did they make a deal? The 24 Mishmaros made a deal between themselves. I'm by my week and you're by your week. Since these karbanos have nothing to do with the moed, so therefore they don't split. You don't share them. So the Mishnah says on Seres, on Shavuos, you say Heilach Chametz, Heilach Matzah. It's my Rav Mar Sukkah. We have a related machlokas. When you sit your first night in your sukkah, what bracha do you make first? Right? You make a bracha leishiv with sukkah first, or you make the bracha shechianu first. Rav says first you make the bracha leishiv with sukkah. Rav Barachana says man v'archach sukkah. He says first you make the bracha of shechianu, and then you make the bracha of leishiv with sukkah. Rav sukkah v'archach man chiva diyom ma'adiv. It's better to say the mitzvah of the yom. The mitzvah of the yom is to sit in the sukkah. Shechianu you can say the whole time. It's not really related so much to that day. That sitting you're doing right now. Rav Barachana Amar Mana Avachach Sukkah. He says first say Shechianu. Tadir Shenu Tadir Kodim. Shechianu happens more times than Sukkah. Sukkah only happens one time a year. Shechianu every yom to say Shechianu. So therefore Shechianu comes first. Leima Rav Barachana plucks with the Beis Shammai Tzilakam Ifli. Everything Machlokas Beis Hillel Beis Shammai. Tana Rabbanan and Dvarim Shavim Beis Shammai Beis Hillel B'Suda. When it comes to Friday night meal, there's Machlokas Beis Shammai Beis Hillel. First, you make a bracha kiddush alayla on Friday night. You make a bracha, the long bracha alayom, and then you make the bracha bari priyat gafen. There's a weed like Beis Hillel, barach alayom. First you say bari priyat gafen, and then and then you say the bracha on Shabbos. Beis Shammai omer barach alayom, barach alayim. The bracha on yayin is second. Shayom gorim liyayin shiyavo, because it's Shabbos. That's why you have to have kiddush. You have to have wine. If it wasn't Shabbos, you wouldn't have the wine. So the day precedes it. The day blessing of Shabbos precedes it. A different reason is that what happens first? Is that first to sanctify Shabbos. Shabbos started before you make Kiddush. Kiddush you make a couple hours after Shabbos starts. Beis Hillel, two different reasons. They say the opposite. First you make a bracha and then you make a bracha on the Yom of Shabbos. If it wasn't for the wine, right, you won't be able to say Kiddush, right? You have to have something to say Kiddush on. You can't just say Kiddush on nothing. You could say it on chalas, but presumably if you have wine, you're supposed to say it on wine, right? This is a big raya that on Yom Kippur, I once heard in a shir on Yom Kippur that if Yom Kippur falls on Shabbos, you should have kavana during the tefillas Mariv of Yom Kippur on Shabbos to have kavanah for Kiddush, even though there's no wine and there's no bread. The Gemara says here, Shayayin Gorm Kiddush Da'amer. You can only say Kiddush. Kiddush has to go on something. It has to go on wine or it has to go on bread, b'di'eved, right? So you see a clear raya over here, not like that kavanah. So this year Yom Kippur is the top of on Shabbos. I don't think so. Hold on Wednesday, I think. But so you see what? Thursday? When does Yom Kippur fall out? Thursday? Wednesday? Anyway, you're thinking about taking that film upon yourself. The Gemara is clear right here. Give me a little Iyam of Ben Sion. Give me a little music. Iyam of Ben Sion. Like horse racing over here? I don't know. Here comes the king. Alright. Listen, basically, do something like a king coming in or something like that, like a royal entrance, like a grand entrance.
A king. Oh, you want to do like the God?
The trumpet. I don't know. Yeah, something. Give me like a king. Sounds like American president's coming in. All right. Anyway, I'm the president of the United States. Anyway, this is Ian with Ben Sion over here. If you want to have kavanah for Kiddush on Yom Kippur, when it falls on Shabbos, and you think you'll be able to say the mitzvah of Kiddush, it's clear from this Gemara that you are not being able to say the mitzvah of Kiddush. You're here first. Shayayin, Gorim, Kiddush, the Amer, you have to have, it has to be chal on something, either wine or bread.
But you
don't take that from yourself.
Kippur.
I know, but you don't have something to be chal on. You can't say Kiddush, right? Even though the Magen Avraham says that technically on a Friday night you could be Yotzei, it's a suffix whether you Yotzei your Kiddush and Mariv. When you say Mariv, right? That's why he says that these questions whether a man can be Yotzei a woman, because a woman's Chiyuv is Doraisa, and a man already was Yotzei his Chiyuv Doraisa in Shmona Esrei. To that I say, Magen Avraham was only talking about because you're going to have wine later on. If you don't have wine later on, you're not Chiyuv Doraisa at all.
No, that's It sounds like it's a raya against what you just said.
I know it's a raya against it, but I'm explaining to you why I'm being docha the raya against me. Magen Avram says that, but the Magen Avram Lechora, even if you hold it's Magen Avram, so it's really a proof against the Magen Avram. But even if you want to say the Magen Avram is right, really I'll say it's a proof against the Magen Avram also, right? Yain garin kiddush damer. The wine causes kiddush to be said. If you don't have wine, you can't say kiddush. But maybe you can retire the Magen Avram because you're going to have wine later on. So therefore, if you also your kiddush, your mitzvah d'oraisa in the Shmon Esrei, and your mitzvah d'rabbanan when you have the wine. But at least it's going on wine. It's going on something later on. But if you don't have wine at all, or you don't have bread at all, you can't be Yotzei Kiddush. It's not chal on a chefsa, as they say in yeshivas, like Ponovich yeshiva, chefsa.
We ask about before you
This is Imad Ben Sion. We don't ask Rabbanim. We just say it's not the halacha l'maisa. You don't rely on the halacha l'maisa. If you want a psak, you go to your local Orthodox rabbi. I'll give you the Orthodox approach. I'm unorthodox. All right. Gemara says, Davarach, another reason basically. Right? You say Baruch Birkach a lot. People drink wine a lot. They drink grape juice, right? The bracha on Shabbos only happens once a week. Tadir Shina Tadir Kod. You go with something that happens more frequently. Lema Rav, the Amar Kebei Shammai. Say Rav holds like Beis Shammai. Rav Brachana the Amar Kebei Sil. Since Rav says you ignore Tadir Shina Tadir Kod and you go with the Chiyuva Diyon. And Rav Brachana says you go with Tadir Shina Tadir like Beis Hillel. Amar Rav, the Gemara says no. Ana Damri Afilu Beis Hillel. I could say even according to Beis Hillel. Ad kan lakam Beis Hillel hasam ela shayan garim kishish tejamer al hacha ilav zman milo amrina sukkah. There they depend on each other, right? Right? You need wine in order to say kiddush. But here, if you don't have shechianu, you still say sukkah. So sukkah is more important. The bracha leisha was sukkah. Rav Brachana Amar Lacha Ad Amri Afilu Beis Shammai. Ad kan lo Amri Beis Shammai hasam ela shayam garim liyayin shiyavo. Again, they depend on each other. The wine causes that the yayin shigava that you should make kiddush. Aval hacha ilav sukkah. If you don't have a sukkah, milo amrinan zman, you can say shechianu. We learned even b'shuk you can say shechianu. It's not. The Mishnah says, "Ba'atzeres omelo helach matzah helach chametz." You say when they're apportioning on Shavuos, they're apportioning the lechem aponim, mishtei lechem together. He takes a piece of matzah, which is lechem aponim, and then a piece of chametz, which is the lechem. Hacha the chametz ikar matzah tafel. What do we have over here? We have two things. We have one, chametz is the ikar, which is se'al lechem. That's the chiyuv hayom. That's atzera. It's unique to the day. Matzah tafel. You have every week. You have lechem upon it. It's not a helach matzah, a helach chametz. You see that you go tadir shina tadir kodem. You go with the instead of going the chiyuv hayom, you go with the one that is happens more frequent. You have to the Rav. So seemingly a good question on Rav. Amalecha Rav, Hela Tanahi. It's Machlos Tanai and what you actually do. The Sanya Helach Matzah Helach Chametz. Tanakama says you give out first the piece of Lechem Aponim. Abasholom or Helach Chametz Helach Matzah. He says first you give out Abashol. Rav says like Abashol. That first you give out Chametz and then you give out Matzah. You give out Chametz, which is the Shtei Lechem, which is the Chiyuv Hayom. Darash Rav Nachman Rav Kista Lok Divri Rav the Amar Sukkah V'Achakzman Elazman V'Achak Sukkah. He paskin in his drasha. And for you say Shachana, like Rav Barachana, but Rav Sheshes Braid Rabidi Amar Sukkah V'Achakzman. He argued and it's like Rav. First you say Bracha Leishev, Ve'elchasa Sukkah V'Achakzman. Allah is you say Sukkah and then Zman like Rav. Mishrash is Mano Kavua. Mishar Kabanas Asibor. They bring the one that the week that falls out during the Yom Tov, so they bring Shar Kabanas Asibor. Lasuye Mai. What is that coming to include? Lasuye Parlam Darvish Asibor Siri Avodas Kolchavim. Karbanos, let's say the Sanhedrin made a mistake about a sin that you're chayiv kares if you do it mazid, and you're chayiv achatz if you do it b'shogeg, and they made a mistake, and Rov Klal shall follow them. So they have to bring a bull chatas offering. Or if they make a mistake regarding Avodah Zarah, and Rov Klal shall follows them, then they have to bring a goat, a he-goat, as a chatas offering, and a bull as an olah. Those karbonos go to they're brought by the mishmar whose week it falls at. And they bring everything. Also, the people that whose week it falls in, they're kayetz mizbeach, the dessert of the mizbeach. Let's say there were no nedarim and nedavos brought after the time of Shel Shachar, so we don't want the mizbeach to sit idle. So therefore, you bring other karbanos, so the mizbeach shouldn't be without karbanos. That is brought by the mishmar of the zmano kavua. Mishnah says, Yom Tov Asamuch Shabbos, bein lefanei bein la'acharei. Yom Tov falls out next to Shabbos, whether in front of it or acharei. We'll see what this means in the Gemara. You call mishmaros shavos, right? All the mishmaros were shavos, like we said, and they split the lechem upon him equally. Bechil lechem upon him. Chal lios yom echad lahafzik bein time. Let's say there was one day intervening between Shabbos and Yom Tov. Mishmar shezmano kavua yanotel esrei chalos. We're going to see that this is talking about where the Yom Tov either fell out 2 days after Shabbos, they came early, or it finished 2 days before Shabbos and they're staying late. They're not supposed to be their time. So if the Mishmar Zmano Kavu, it's not really Yom Tov anymore, they no till Esrei Chalos, they take 10 lechem upon him. V'sakev no till Shayim. The Mishmar that stayed late, they only get 2. V'shar Yemos Hashanah, the rest of the year, we're not talking about the Regalim. Hanichnas no till Sheish, Vayozi no till Sheish. The Mishmar switch on Shabbos. So the one who leaves takes 6 chalas, and the one who comes in takes 6 chalas, and the one who goes out also takes 6 chalas. Rabbi Omer and Nichnas no till Sheva. Yudah says the Nichnas are going in, they're going to get 7. Yosi no till Chamish, they get 5. They're leaving. And Nichnas and Cholkim b'Safon. The Nichnas get their bread in the north of the Mizbeach, where all the Kodshim were slaughtered. So it's a more important place. But Yosim B'Dar, the people who are leaving, they're not as important. They go in the south, which is not of a particular significance. Bilga. La'olam cholekes b'dar. Bilga is a family, one of the mishmaros. So Bill Gates. He wants to say that a mishmar called Bill Gates. Steve Jobs was the next one. You know what Steve Jobs is? Or was? What did Steve Jobs, which company did he come up with?
Roto-Rooter?
It's a fruit, I'll tell you.
Fruit of the Loom?
No, it's a fruit. What fruit? What company is based on a fruit? What technology company? Computer company?
Based on fruit?
Yeah. Think of it. iPhone. What company is it? Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs. Come on.
Celery. No, that's not fruit.
We eat it on Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is coming up.
Pomegranate. Oh, you opened that store in Flatbush?
No.
He made a lot of money. He must be very rich.
Dip the what in the honey?
It's apple.
There you go. Apple. Very good.
Sorry to tell you, apple's been around a long time.
But Steve
As
Jobs.
a kid, I was eating apple.
Here are these AirPods, Apple AirPods.
It looks like a little.
Courtesy of Steve Jobs' company.
That's a tooth. That's a dental floss.
It looks like dental floss, yeah, but these are very good. I highly recommend them. They're very
What type
good.
do you like? Do you like with the wax on it, or no?
These don't come with wax on them. No, they're just smooth plastic, some metal in them.
Kosher. I never knew that.
Huh? Yeah, they're kosher. You're not eating it. I don't know. My wife also is makbid on this, not to buy with wax. I don't know. I never heard of this thing. Wax cleans you better, right? Safik nefashos lahakil, you know. Safik nefashos. You're a bor b'rishus harabim if your breath smells, right? If your breath smells, you're a bor b'rishus harabim.
That's right.
Right? That's what Rav Chazkel Levenstein said.
Really?
He said if you don't put a smile on your face, you're a bor b'rishus harabim.
True.
So if your breath doesn't smell good, you're also bor b'rishus harabim. Right? You know what the word for having bad breath is?
Yeah.
What's the clinical word for that? The words doctors use.
Use a word for it?
Yeah. Halitosis. You're not gonna know this one. You didn't take the SATs. You flunked out of school. your high school flunked out of high school. So. All right. The Gemara says we're playing Bilga. Bilga was one of the Mishmar, the 15th Mishmar. The Olam Kolekes B'Darim. They're going to say she did one of the people, one of the daughters of Bilga, one of the families. She disgraced the Beis Hamikdash. So therefore, the Olam Kolekes B'Darim. She always, even when she's coming in, that Mishmar always gets in the south. The Tabasak Fuol. They had a ring to shech the animals. So the ring they shechted the animals on was closed, so they had to use someone else's. Bechalona Stuma, in its place, they had a cabinet in the north of the Mizbeach, where they used to put their knives. It was closed, they had to use somebody else's. It was embarrassment to that family. to that mishmar. What does it mean before and after? Yom tov rishon, acharei yom tov achron. Every time lefanea means that Yom Tov Rishon falls on a Friday, right before Shabbos. Lacharei Yom Tov falls out last day of Yom Tov falls on a Sunday. Hainu Shabbos Shluch Chag. That's just a regular Shabbos Shluch Chag. That's not a chiddush that they split the lechem upon him. Ela lefanea Yom Tov achron. Lefanea means the last day falls out before Shabbos, right? So therefore Shabbos is technically not Yom Tov anymore. Lacharei Yom Tov Rishon. Lacharei is where Shabbos falls out before Yom Tov Rishon. The Rishon falls out after Shabbos. My time. Mekadmi v'hani ma'achri tiknu Rabbana milsa gehechi denechlu b'hadei adad. Since they really can't leave, right? Yom Tov falls out ends on Friday, so you have to stay. You really can't leave. You can't go anywhere. So therefore, they call that upon him, and because you can't go anywhere, and also
For Shabbos?
Yeah, for Shabbos. Right, and if Shabbos, Yom Tov starts on a Sunday and Shabbos falls out right before, you have to come early. You can't come Motzei Shabbos, you have to be there, so you have to come on Friday, so therefore they split it evenly. Chal Yom Echad, V'hani Tarti Mayavitai. The Gemara says a machlokas between a regular Shabbos. How do you divide it? You divide it 6 and 6, or you divide it 7 and 5. Rabbi Yehuda says 7 and 5. V'hani Tarti Mayavitai. Why? They get an extra 2, the one who is coming in. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak B'star Gavas Lasos, because when the one leaving, the Mishmar leaves, they don't close the gates. They have to close the gates at night, the one that came in. That extra work they have to do is they get an extra loaf of bread. It's 7 to 5. And namely, dal b'dal. Why don't they just say, you take 6 now, and then when you leave, you also take 6. Instead of taking 7 now and leave, you'll take 5. Amar Abai, Botzina Tava Mikra. It's better, as the big yesod over here, to take a gourd when it's small, then wait, and maybe you'll get it later when it's bigger. You take it out of the ground right now, you know it's small. Meaning you always go, there's a famous tshuva, right? Everyone's in jail. What day you pick to leave? You can leave at any day, for any day of the year. One day a year you can leave jail. Which day should you pick? So there's a tshuva. One of the achronim said that the day you pick is not Yom Kippur, or not Pesach, or not Shavuos. What day do you leave jail for? You leave jail the next day, because Botzina Tava Mikra. You always go with right away.
And then you just don't come back.
I don't know if you brought a raya from this tomorrow, but it's seemingly a good raya.
It's a saying. One bird in the hand,
One in the hand.
one in the bush, 2 in the hand, 2 in the bush.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I don't remember that saying exactly. One in the hand is better than 2 in the bush, the barrel, or something like that. I don't know.
They say it comes from, it's a Jewish.
That's from Botzina Tav Mikra. This is a famous Gemara. Yeah, it's a Gemara in Ksubos and Tmura,
That's right.
other places. Amar Rav Yehuda.
Jewish sources, no, but there's actually a medrash. It says this same thing about birds or something.
All right, we have to get to the drinking part because we're going to be having a siyum soon. We'll see. Amar Rav Yehuda, Musafin Cholkin. Rav Yehuda says a chiddush that Musafin were carbon olos, but you had the hides, you had the oros. So he says that they divide those between the Musafin of Shabbos, you divide between the Mishmar Yotze and Mishmar Nechnas. Meisive of Gash Rav Yehuda, Mishmar Yotze Ose Talmid Shel Shachar. Oh, they bring the Talmid Shel Shachar. Musafin, they do the carbon, they bring the carbon Musaf. Mishmar HaNechneses, the Mishmar that comes in, Ose Talmid Shel Ben Arbayim Vazik, and they take off the frankincense from a Talmid Lechem upon him and they offer them Mizbeach. The Musafin Cholkin Lokasani just says that the one that's Yotze brings the carbon Musaf, so assumingly they get the hides also. So you see, not like Rav Yehuda. This Brisa wasn't talking about splitting. Amarava v'hatanat Beis Shmuel, a different Brisa, the Meir b'Chalukah Musafin Cholkin Lokasani doesn't say they split. The Tanat the Beis Shmuel, Mishmara Yotze Ose Talmid Shel Shachar. Mishmara that's leaving, they do the Talmid Shel Shachar. Musafin and the Musaf. Mishmar Nechneses, the one coming in, also Talmid Shel Ben Arbayim Vazik. Arba Kohanim. Hayir Nichnasin Sham. 4 Kohanim would go in there. Shnai Mishmar Zu, Shnai Mishmar Zu. 2 from each Mishmar. 2 from the one coming in, 2 from the one leaving. Cholkin Lechem Panim. And split the Lechem Panim. See the Chalukah talks about Chalukah splitting something. Real Musaf and Cholkin Lokasani doesn't say anything about splitting the Musaf. The Rav Yehuda, that's a proof against Rav Yehuda. Really, the Oros go to the Mishmar Hayotze. And Nechnasin Cholkin B'Safon. Talking about Nechnasin Cholkin B'Safon, they get divide their bread Lechem Panim in the north. They should Nechnasin, because we said the north is where the Kachim were slaughtered. So therefore, it's a more important place. Therefore, to show their importance, they're coming to do the avoda. They get in the north. Ayos and Cholkin B'Darim, they should to show that they're leaving. They're tafel to the avoda. Bilga la'olam kolegas b'darim. Tanar Rabbanan Ma'aser Miriam bas Bilga.
Yeah,
Miriam.
but they got the mitzvah ready. I would say the other way. They did the mitzvah. They have the special chus. They did the mitzvah ready. I think we should maybe honor them. I'm saying these people have been yaitz to the mitzvah. I guess not.
I hear what you're saying, but we always look at potential. Potential is worth more. The past is what you're going to do in the future. It's what's up next, right? We ignore the past.
Yeah, but it's sort of like, okay, I'll close the door when you leave, okay?
Like the song by.
It sounds a little like, like, oh, you did yaitza, okay, okay.
Masha haya haya karla hatil mechala. Masha, you hear that song? That's an answer to your question.
What is the song?
I think it's Meda Tassa. Masha haya haya. Meda Tassa, an Israeli musician, young Israeli musician. No, it's not Breslov. Masha haya haya. Whatever happened in the past happened. Ayikar latchil mechla is to start the new.
Sounds Breslov.
Okay.
No,
Pilgul olam chalakis b'daran. Tana, we have to get to the drinking part. Tana Rabbanan. Maisa, Miriam bas Bilga. Miriam, she was a family of Bilga. Shemir Data, she went off the derech.
Went off the derech. What happened?
We'll see in a second. She married one of the officers of the Greek army. This is talking when the Yevanim actually during the Hanukkah, right? When they went into the Heichal, they destroyed the Beis Hamikdash. She was taking her shoe and kicking it on the Mizbeach. I'm a Lucas, wolf. You're eating up the money of Klal Yisrael. People are bringing their animals to you, and you're not standing for them. You're not protecting them. The Greeks are destroying the Beis Hamikdash. Afterwards, the Chacham heard what she did. They closed up her ring for slaughtering the animal. She had to use a different ring. And they shut the window, shut the cubicle where they kept the knives. A different shot. They gave them a knas. Mishmarso show a lavo. One time, the mishmar didn't come on time, and Yeshaviv, who was the 14th mishmar, they were before them. They did in place, and they did avoda on Shabbos in place of them. Even though neighbors or Rishayim usually don't benefit, Shcheni Bilga Nistakru. The neighbors of Bilga, Yeshaviv, got rewarded. She Bilga Olam Kolakas V'Darm. She Yeshaviv Echad B'Saf. He always gets Yeshaviv. Even when he's leaving, he gets in the Safon. If you'll say that the reason was they came late, that's why you give a knas to the whole mishmar. If it was just one person that she went off the derech, an apostate, because of the daughter, we give a knas to the whole mishmar. Whatever a child says in the shuk, he's either learning from his father or mother. So his father and mother taught it to him. Because of father and mother, we can't in the whole mishmar. Woe is to the Rasha, woe is to his neighbor. You're near a neighbor, Rasha, and you suffer with them. You're near a tzaddik, it's good for you. First it says in the book tzaddik, kitov, he is good, one per in singular. Plural, that the neighbors of the tzaddik also will benefit from him.
Oh, what I was telling you before, by the way.
Now it's time to drink. Hadron Allah, Chachalil, Slicha, Maseches Succah, Shkoya, Shmuel. Give me a hug. Give me a hug. Oh. Okay, now we have to quick drink a little bit.
By the way, I'm telling you about where they gave them to eat it. One, because the truth is, on the way out they got it less, but on the way in they got the better.
Okay, now
right?
we have some beer.
Why do we make a thing at the beginning, at the end? Why don't we make it at the beginning make a scene? Because we're starting a new masechta.
Huh?
It's a simcha when we start a new masechta. Why do we only make a scene at the end? We should make a scene at the beginning of the masechta.
At the beginning of masechta.
Because like we heard in the Kohanim, we gave them, because they're starting something. We should make a big party when we start.
Right?
Right?
It's a good question. You know what? I have some extra beers, so when we start Maseches Beitzah, I'm going to bring some beers also.
That's very nice.
Like in honor of what Shmuel is saying, we're going to have beer when we start and when we finish.
Wow.
It's a good thing. You're Chiddush of Shmuel. Ian with Shmuel. Dun 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 dun. Ian with Shmuel. Let's make a l'chaim.
Wow, l'chaim.
Here's a beer. L'chaim, l'chaim tovim, l'shalom, simchas, Should finish many more sections. Ganze Shas. Ganze Shas. Baruch atah Adonai l'olam sha'akol nivro.
Wow, it's good.
L'chaim.